Auditor General Kimi Makwetu briefing the Standing Committee on Public Accounts on the audit outcomes for 2018-2019. And he says Parliament must take action against departments and entities that don't put measures in place to prevent losses. Lindsay Dentlinger is following that story, and she joins us now live from Parliament. I mean, Lindsay, if you were to tell me about the Auditor General's overall assessment of government audits, it's not a good picture.
Good morning, Michelle. No, it isn't. And really the overarching point I think the Auditor General is trying to make here at this committee about everything that he's discussing today is really preventative measures. It appears that it's once the money's been spent, it's a little bit too late to want to go after those responsible and, more importantly, get that money back that's been wasted. As you said, irregular expenditure in the past financial year up to over 60 billion rand now, even though the number of culprits has decreased slightly. But really what Kimi Makwetu is saying here is that preventative measures need to be stronger to stop all these incidents from happening in the first place, because, as we know, there are very few, if any, consequences for those who are responsible for wasting all this money.
In my mind, I mean, are we being naive to say that it's quite simple? We have a certain budget. We need to track exactly where that money goes. Clearly, that's just not happening.
Yes, but Kimi Makwetu also pointing out the way accounting practices are followed, or in many instances not followed. The paper trail, he says, when his auditors go in there while the ordinary debits and credits look okay, there's a lot of unexplained paperwork and documents that can't be found and can't be traced to explain why so much money is being wasted. And a lot of that comes, obviously, as we know, in supply chain management processes that are allowed to go through, which do not follow any type of laws. And he says sometimes when his auditors go in there, they just actually also cannot trace their assets. All of a sudden, asset registers are missing or they've crashed. So just no explanation from accounting officers for the irregular and the wasteful expenditure.
And Lindsay, the amendments that we were tracking to the Public Audit Act, I mean, one of the big things that came out of that is that it would give institutions like the AG's office to go after the culprits. Is that the case?
Yes, Michelle, that was really the point. Those amendments were signed into law almost a year ago now, and that's really what MPs are asking here, wanting to know whether that's having any effect. As I pointed out, the AG saying a lot of these things should be prevented in the first place rather than be retroactive to go after those responsible. But unfortunately, he has a little bit of bad news for MPs. It's going to take a little while. He has started a process. We have to understand that he audits 432 government entities, and he said it just won't make sense to go after all of them at the same time. So he's singled out 16 entities. It includes 2 SOEs, SA Technical, which we've been talking a lot about, and also PRASA, and then a number of government departments. And the process is underway to track down who's responsible, get suitable explanations from those involved, but it won't be until October 2020 that full process has been followed through, and where he can finally issue that document, that certificate that will force the person or people responsible that disciplinary action, ensure that disciplinary action has been taken against them, and more importantly, to get back that money.
So a long way to go still. Thanks very much for that. Lindsay Dentlinger, live to us there from Parliament. The Auditor General there a moment ago, just painting such a bleak picture of government's wasteful expenditure. Listen to this, 61 billion rand unaccounted for.